Giants they might be. GameMasters here, and today we are taking a first look at Bigby Presents Glory of the Giants. Now here's how I do this. Back in the day, we used to be able to cruise into our local game store, pick up a book, and kind of thumb through it, see if it was any good. But local stores are closing up left and right, and that leaves many buyers with the only option to shop online. But oftentimes, we can't really look through that book. That's where this channel comes in. I want to be your eyes and help show you what you can expect. And I'll do my best to keep the opinions to myself, but I'll be upfront. There are some parts to this book that are kind of neat. What I have currently is the digital format of the new Bigby book, and while I've got a hard copy on review, for review on the way, I wanted to show you what you can expect to see inside. Bigby Presents Glory of the Giants is broken down into 6 chapters, and I'll give you a quick overview before we jump into each one. Chapter 1 covers the giant-themed options for players, subclass, 2 backgrounds, and feats. Chapter 2 provides advice to the DM on how to use giants in their games, from role-playing tips to how the ordning works, from their religious structures to giants' ideas on organizations and societies. Chapter 3 gives tools to the DM on building encounters with giants, crafting up adventures, and even campaigns. Chapter 4 talks about the various locations where different giants can be found, and it's in that chapter that lots of maps can also be seen. Chapter 5 lists out various treasures that characters can discover along the way, and Chapter 6 provides stat blocks for a fairly large amount of new monsters, including bag jelly, death giant reapers, and more. The last few pages are made up of 2 appendices, Appendix A and Appendix B, and I'll detail those a bit later in the video as well. As part of the intro section, we get a brief history of how giants came to be, all from Annam Allfather. I've covered in 2 previous videos Annam's history and as seen in books from years ago, Giant Craft from Forgotten Realms and Monster Mythology from the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons settings. But the lore here in Bigby Presents sort of touches those, but doesn't at the same time. In the 5th edition History of Annam, the primordial dragons Bahamut and Tiamat went on a rampage, and the original version of the material plane was just destroyed. Annam took those fragments and created what we currently see as the material plane and populated them with his offspring. But then the section offers up another claim that Annam was responsible for the inner planes, the 4 elemental planes, air, earth, fire, water, and explains that is why giants have such close ties to the elemental forces. But then it goes on to claim that perhaps Annam's daughter, Diana Castra, had a heavy hand in creating other races of giants by bringing to her father a mote of raw chaos in which he attempted to mold and remold, but that each of his efforts to craft something from chaos ends up reducing its raw potential into mere actuality. I take this to mean perhaps the lesser giants or maybe even giant kin. We also get a brief overview of how giants came to be in the Forgotten Realms, Dragonlance, Eberron, and Greyhawk, which I'm convinced we will see a book come out in 2024, but I digress. Now, for some in-depth look at each of the chapters, and we'll do some deep dives looks at these chapters over the following days. I just don't really want to create a 2-hour video here. Chapter 1 is all about character creation, should you want to craft up a character that has ties to giants. The subclass option is Barbarian Path of the Giant. In short order, this subclass allows any race that is of a barbarian class to access strength drawn from the same primal forces that giants have. When you rage, you will surge with elemental power, grow in size, and you can make use of giant's power. At 3rd level, Path of the Giant, you can speak, read, and write the language of the giants, plus learn a cantrip of your choice from either Druidcraft or Thaumaturgy. Giants Havoc, also 3rd level. When you rage, you turn into a Hulk and gain Crushing Throw, allowing you to add your rage damage bonus to an attack's damage roll when you throw a weapon using Strength. You also gain Giant Stature, in which your reach will increase by 5 feet, and if you are smaller than large, you become large, along with anything you're wearing. Should you be in a restricted space, your size kind of stays where you originally were. Elemental Cleaver is obtained at 6th level, in which you can infuse your weapon with primordial energy, that's either acid, cold, fire, thunder, or lightning, and allow your weapon to deal an extra 1d6 damage of that infused type. Mighty Impel comes in as you hit level 10, which lets you pick up and hurl both enemies and allies across the battlefield. You can snatch up a medium or smaller creature and toss it into an unoccupied space within 30 feet of yourself. At level 14, you gain Demiurgic Colossus. The ability Giant's Havoc, the sub-ability there, Giant Stature, allowed you to grow by 5 feet. Well, this one bumps you up to a whopping 10 feet, but also allows you to use Might Impel to toss creatures that are of large size, and increases your Elemental Cleaver damage up to 2d6. One section that isn't in Chapter 1 is the Bigby's Thumbs Up. States that you're enjoying this video, to give it a thumbs up, as that helps me to get it out to more eyes, and you'll have my eternal thanks. In the background section of Chapter 1, we are provided with 2 possible backgrounds, the Giant Foundling and the Rune Carver. The Giant Foundling background essentially means that you are not a giant, but that they have found you as an infant, and you grew up among those giants. As such, you have grown in size fairly significantly for your kind. You are proficiently skilled in intimidation and survival, and you gain Strike of the Giants feat, which allows several options of effect to choose from. Essentially, Strike of the Giants allows you to cast certain spells, and we'll get into more specifics about the different feats in future videos. The second background is the Rune Carver. Basically, you carve runes and can cast spells by using those runes. Chapter 2 goes into detail on how to roleplay giants and gives tips on how to bring life to them in one's game. It explains how long various types of giants can live, how large they can actually get, how loud they are, and also provides a small table on naming your giants. We also explore the Ordning, which is essentially a caste system for giants. But what is neat here is that there are several adventure hook tables for each type of giant. For example, fire giants have an adventure hook when you roll a 5. Fire giant has captured a humanoid blacksmith, and the spouse begs the adventurers for help. We also get a fairly hefty section of various gods in the giants' religions, and it goes into a bit more detail about the Annam Allfather. Detail is also presented about the various sons of Annam that he's had, which are seen kind of as gods to various other races of giants. Social structure is a section provided in Chapter 2 that covers how giants kind of live and in and among themselves, how they treat each other, their family, as well as how they treat outsiders. Of course, adventure hooks are also provided within the social structure section as well. Chapter 3 is specifically for the Dungeon Master, and that's a big complaint that I have. I'm not a fan of bundling books that contain information that's to be consumed by both players and DMs, because frankly it's just too easy and too tempting for players to kind of chew through the DM's eyes only material. So as to not give away too much, should players kind of be watching, I'm going to be a little brief in what this chapter provides. This chapter, Chapter 3, contains tables and ideas to create encounters, adventures, and full-on campaigns. The encounter section details tools and tables to incorporate giants as well, and encounters kind of into your game. But it also includes various monsters that are usually accompanying those giants as well. It covers a variety of different giants types, from cloud giants to hill giants, from storm giants to death giants, from even dinosaurs to megafauna as well. The adventure section is actually pretty impressive, as it directly references some adventures of old. Steading of the Hill Giant Chief, the Glacial Rift of the Frost Giant Jarl, and Hall of the Fire Giant King. It ultimately tethers those together, the various ideas in them, and specifics on how to pit the players either directly against giants should they be on a warpath against humans, or how to work with giants should a larger threat be looming. Of course, the section of adding giants to your own homebrew campaign is also a pretty nice section. While I find it somewhat generic in overall ideas, I kind of think that's the point. It shies away from super specifics, but instead gives ideas in broad strokes to help populate your own world, and asks questions like, where would humans fit in along giants? What are the roles of dragons in your world? How has the landscape been shaped by giants? Are giants a thing of the here and now, or are they all just myth? It offers up those questions to ask, but also provides some concepts to build upon. Chapter 4, as we mentioned in the earlier portions of this video, is mostly depicting maps of various locations that giants dwell, called Enclaves. Again, this is pretty much for DM's eyes only, but I'll cite one example, Gale's Eye Tower. This is a tower built up of stone and solidified clouds. It sits within the eye of a perpetual storm and can simply travel the winds and wander around the world. And you guessed it, this is all about cloud giants. And it is rumored that within this tower is a conduit to the plane of air. There are 18 enclaves total, and each one provides to the DM features of the area around the map, magic that can be found in that area, hidden details, and potential adventure hooks. Chapter 5. As bad as I want to deep dive into this chapter, I'm going to give it a gloss over because this is one that really deserves its own video. Chapter 5 presents to us magic items, and items that giants tend to carry, as well relics. This chapter is really cool in that it provides what is called giant bags. These are pouches that giants carry, but moreover, what's exactly found inside them. For example, a fire giant might have a diagram inside that shows how to make a spiked tower shield, among other things. Giants of ancient times were known for carrying treasure, which here is referred to as relics. Usually found in ruins and old temples, one might find massive giant-sized coins made of copper, gold, even platinum. Gemstones are a likely relic to be found as well, and as are, oddly enough, objects of art that were created by giants that had an imagination. 27 magic items fill out the rest of this chapter, and that is specifically why I want to give it its own video. But I'll give you a sample of 2. Delver's Claws is a wondrous item and looks to be a weather-worn leather glove and is adorned with 3 large metal hooks shaped like a mole's claw. Stitched into the palm is a rune depicting a mountain. It deals 1d4 slashing damage, and while wearing it, you have a burrowing speed equal to your walking speed and blind sight to 15 feet. Invoking the mountain rune allows you to spend and roll a number of your unspent hit dice, and you then regain a number of hit points equal to that total rolled plus your constitution modifier. Wayfarer's Boots is also a wondrous item and is a pair of boots made from durable cloth with a journey rune stitched above each heel. Wearing it increases your walking speed by 10 feet and gives you advantage on survival checks. Invoking the journey rune casts the expeditious retreat spell, which allows you to take on the death action. Dash action. Can't talk today. Chapter 6 is chock full of monsters and very likely will consume several videos. As best I can count, there appears to be 71 monsters. Creatures, what are we supposed to call them? Monsters, creatures? Whatever. Things for you to fight or mess with or work with? Creatures. Okay. Anyway, lots of them. I really want to look at the Death Giant Reaper, but that one really is deserving of its own video. But here's one quick look at a monster or creature. The Fire Hellion is a huge fiend with 175 hit points with above average stats. It appears to be immune to fire damage and cannot be charmed or frightened. It has an ability called Soul Taker, in which if the thing it is fighting dies, its soul rises as a lemure on Avernus, one of the 9 hells, in 1d4 hours. But if you can revive the fallen before then a wish spell or a true resurrection spell can bring it back. For actions, the Fire Hellion can multi-attack, in which it can make 2 attacks with its Morning Star, or it can use Infernal Orb, a magic ball of fire that kind of explodes, dishing out 48 fire damage and 48 necrotic damage. Appendix A gives us a look at some concept art, artwork that we seemingly can use to inspire us when exploring the glory of the giants. The Gargantuous is really the kind of neatest looking piece in here. Well, and the Death Giants are really kind of cool too. Appendix B gives a D100 table of adventure hooks, all of which are found in previous chapters of the book, but this table kind of just compiles them into one big section. Also, these fine giant supporters have gone above and beyond to help support this channel, and if you'd like to become a member, I'll leave details down in the description. Guys, we did it. This was a slightly longer video, but this was our first look at what you can expect to see in Bigby Presents Glory of the Giants. What did you think? It's actually chock full of content and content that actually has some teeth. I'm looking forward to covering some of the other parts of the book in greater detail in the coming days, so be sure to bookmark this playlist, as it's really only going to grow as I add more videos. Talk to me down in the description. What parts are you mostly wanting to know about? More about the monsters, the magic items, the ordning? Again, comment below, and until next our paths cross, may you not come face to face to a Fire Hellion.